one who comes out of this system is actually able to adapt to his environment, but not to come out of an education system and you still look helpless. Yeah.
All right, Crispa, stay with us. We'll be back to you shortly. We want to cross over to Mombasa. At the St. Kevin's Nyali Primary School, Francis Ontomwa is there for us. Francis, do we have students gathered at the school? If so, what is the mood like?
Well, Sophia, I'm almost standing alone here at the St. Kevin Nyali Primary School, one of the top performers here in Nyali, and of course quite colorless. Very few teachers here, very few subordinate staff here at the Nyali School. And of course it has everything to do with the kind of system that has been brought up this time around. And again, this time around, Fred Matiang'i caught everyone by surprise. Very few people expected that the examination will actually be released today. So I'm almost standing alone here, but with a few teachers here. And of course, the top highlight for many teachers that I've been speaking to here has been the question of examination cheating. It has been, of course, quite a huge step in terms of curbing examination cheating. 21 cases across the country. It's quite telling. It's quite significant. It can tell you that indeed the Ministry of Education put in some good effort this time around. And here in Mombasa, the St. Kevin Nyali School actually was one of the best. Their top performer actually had a higher mark than the top student that we are told that this year was 436 marks. And the top student had above 440 marks last year. And therefore, it's a top performer, and many eyes are trained in this particular school on how they'll be performing this year. And of course, many will be expecting to also see how they'll be projecting their way actually forward. We don't expect any much happenings to be here in this particular school, because we already know that students, parents, and all interested parties will actually be learning the results through an online system that is, of course, sending a text message. Therefore, we don't expect much to be happening here. But beside me, I'm standing with one of the teachers of the St. Kevin School, Nyali. His name is Ben Andem, and of course, he'll of course be telling us of his expectations as they wait for the results to be actually trickling into their school. Welcome to KTN, Mr. Ben, and perhaps tell us, what are your expectations? Looks like quite a colorless day here.
Yeah, we expect the same. We expect a very good result shortly. Though the few SMSs that we have sent, the response is coming a bit slowly, but we have quite a good number of students with above 400 marks. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Traditionally, we know of the release of KCPE to be a huge day. We expect many people to storm, or rather to come to school to be able to follow what will be happening. This year, it's missing out. What will you say about that?
Yeah, this could be contributed as a result of not making it public earlier through the media. And as a result of that, parents are not aware, candidates are not aware. Most of the staff members have gone for holidays. They're not aware. And as a result of that, that could contribute to that lower number. Secondly, also because of ICT being enhanced, most parents also expect to get the results via SMS, and therefore we don't expect a big number. In school also, we don't expect to have a very busy day here today. Thank you.
It was 50-50 whether CS Matiang'i would have actually ranked students and schools this time around, because it had already, in fact, been passed in Parliament. Are you disappointed that ranking has missed out?
I've been disappointed very much, because you gauge the pupils according to how best they perform. And as you group them, you get to know the best and the middle and the one that is the last. And therefore, it will be very important for him to grade the pupils in list. Unfortunately, this hasn't happened, and the reason is giving so satisfying because it says that the act that was put in place is not yet operationalized, and therefore is still hand-tied to carry out the same. So we appreciate what is there, and we move on from there.
Very few cases of cheating, and 21 cases to be precise, that CS Matiang'i has actually quoted. Were you part of this, perhaps, whole process of trying to ensure that this examination has some sort of integrity?
Yeah, we appreciate what the minister did, and he deserves an appreciation from every corner of the country. We tried our best to ensure that we prepare pupils adequately. We made everything that was possibly needed in school and ensure that pupils did exams out of an environment of cheating and irregularities at all. And we appreciate the results so much for that.
Lastly, what was your enrollment, and how many perhaps do you plan to, or you are looking for to take to national schools?
Thank you very much. The enrollment was around 24 candidates for the center, and we expect all of them, as we did last year, to all join high schools, national schools, that is. Thank you.
Of course, a lot of many students are back at home. They are so, of course, waiting for this result. A lot of anxiety. What will you tell your students?
I will tell them that they will get what they deserved. They worked very hard. They should appreciate what they have. And more so, they should access the results via the SMS and appreciate what they have. Life has to begin from there.
Thanks, Mwalimu, for joining us. Mwalimu Ben of St. Kevin's School, Nyali, here, of course, trying to give his views, his reaction on the release of the KCPE examination. And as I've indicated, not much activities are going on here. Quite a colorless day here, of course, unlike what we've always known, actually, traditionally, of what has been happening when the Kenya Examination Council actually releases the national examinations. Back to you.
All right, Francis, thank you for that update live for us from St. Kevin's Nyali Primary School over at the coast. Let's bring the conversation back here in studio. And Jonathan, we heard Francis and his guests talk about ranking and the fact that we heard from the CSA this time around it won't happen because Parliament is yet to operationalize the law that will allow for the same to be effective. And we're coming from a place of burning ranking to, okay, let's have it back. What do you think this will have an effect going forward?
What I think is that the law has literally been passed, but what the CS meant was that he did not have time to engage. And remember, he is working on something. There was a lot of time that other players were holding the results, managing this ranking process. So, and this is my guess, is that they are still trying to develop an ICT solution to manage that so that we do not have individuals doing it, so that there is no collusion and the change of grades.
Yeah.
But then the CS on that law actually had to strike a middle ground because the idea was ranking is fueling cheating.
Yes.
But then other people are saying, but there are other sectors that are ranking and there is no cheating. Mm-hmm. So we need to manage. And this is what I talked about, the internal inefficiencies in the system that he's trying to eliminate. But the biggest thing that this has done to the country is lowering our stakes in the grade that the candidate gets. Because all this begins at the household. If you wanted to be a doctor, Sophia, and you ended up being a journalist, then you push your child so that they get that 500 mark, they go to secondary school, they score an A so that they study the medicine that you failed to study. Mm-hmm. Now, that is what has been fueling the desire and investment in unscrupulous methods for the parent, mm-hmm. the guardian, and some teachers who are also being rewarded for every A they score in school.
Okay,
yeah.
And I understand we have some pictures for our viewers live from Eldoret. My director will tell me where exactly, but we see some clapping and dancing and singing. Joyous celebration following the release of the KCPE results. There you have it. So this is in Eldoret, and let's listen to some of the sound from that.
Il school Eldoret. Il school.
Jehovah,
very good afternoon to you back in the studio. And here we are at Hill School High School, Eldoret, where they are celebrating one of their candidates managed to score 431 marks here in Hill School Primary, Eldoret. We are told that Juliet Musimbi managed to score 431 marks. I'm just about to interview one of the teachers, maybe to tell us Juliet Musimbi, who scored 431 marks, is the best candidate here in Hill School Primary School. Maybe you just tell us what is the celebration all about?
Wow, we thank God. We thank God. We are celebrating about our first girl by the name Juliet Musimbi. She has been able to score 431. We thank God. We are really celebrating. We thank God. We thank God. We thank God. And I think as a school, we really appreciate what a surprise. Even us today, we had a meeting for the board. And here we have gotten the surprise of our results. Thank you, God. Thank you. Thank you so much.
The results were announced unawares. Yeah. And most of the 8 teachers maybe were not aware that Matiang'i will announce the results today. And about 950,000 students who sat for their examinations 2016. What were some of your expectations as a school deputy principal?
Yeah, as a principal, I want to say we have worked for our results. We have always been doing well, and we expected good results. And though it was a surprise, but we did our best. I want to thank the teachers. I want to thank the parents. I want to thank the members of the board. We had worked. Even the person in charge of Class 8, Oscar Lagat, who is here with me, we really worked together with him so well. We appreciate.
Mr. Lagat, did you expect maybe Juliet Musimbi will score 431 marks?
Wow, I'm just overwhelmed. I did not expect, and I'm happy for her. I'm happy for the school. I'm happy for everybody. God be blessed.
Amen. What are some of the initiatives that you guys put in place to make sure that Hill School Primary School managed to score 431 marks as you await other results that are continuing to stream in?
Well, one of our strategies that we had was actually to try and encourage the best students. We stretch the neck and we push up the tail so that the lower students, because we are a public school, so we don't discriminate on students. The students who are not very well performing, we push them up by encouraging them and giving some focus to them. And the ones who are at the top, we also did that for them.
Okay.
Yes.
Maybe what's your thought? What did you expect?
First and foremost, I'm very grateful. I'm very overwhelmed, as my colleagues have said. We're very happy on behalf of the management of the school. The school, Hill School, has done it again, and we are still going to do it again because we know of what we are doing. We know the input that we had put in those children. We know the kind of sacrifice our teachers put, and the parents and everybody else. So we are happy with scoring 431, with the first candidate in the country scoring 436, and our scoring 431. This is a big achievement for us, and it calls for us to seriously celebrate. We have got sort of meeting for the board just for the purpose of celebrating and thanking God for the gift of those good results. And we know ultimately, the results will be the best. Ultimately, yes.
Thank you very much. I'm told our time is up. Here we are at East School Primary School, Eldoret, where the top student managed to score 431 marks out of the possible 500 marks. This coming, the top student managed to score 436 marks. That's why we see a joy and jubilation in Hill School Primary School as they continue to wait other results that are continuing to stream in. Back to you, studio.
Thank you, Elvis. It was lovely to see some celebrations. It's been a lot of talking, but not quite seeing the colorful pictures of those, especially for them, which the results, release of these results means good news ahead of the festivities. So 431, as Elvis told us, they're just 5 points shy of the highest scoring candidate in the 2016 examinations, who clinched 436. And remember, a lot has been, yes, and you're still seeing those pictures right there on the split screen. A lot of developments from this, including what we'll be seeing coming next week, the selection process for Form 1 that is set to begin then. But I want to cross back to our City Center studio. Do we still have Crispus Wawire with us there? We were talking about the ranking and the fact that this time around we'll not be able to see that. I wanted to get your thoughts, sir, if you can hear me. There's still a lot that's up in the air going forward, and you talked about how the sector and the country in general needs to refocus its energies. That yes, there's good news in as far as these exams are concerned, but you talked about the curriculum. But there's also an issue of absorption because the numbers are quite high leaving primary school, but as far as the positions and places available in secondary school, we see that narrowing down. Is it a concern you share?
Okay, because looking at the number of students, of course, leaving primary school who need to proceed to secondary school, the number is low. This is unfortunate, and I think the government needs to look into this so that all students who finish primary school need to get a chance in secondary school. And I think the CS needs to refocus its energy on this. It's very unfortunate that maybe a student finishes a primary school but does not find an opportunity in secondary school, because this provides now an opportunity for quacks who want to make money in education, either through investment, to start schools just to provide secondary school that sometimes is meaningless, just to satisfy the need for high school. Because at the age at which these children are leaving primary school is too early to throw them outside the streets. I think a Kenyan child should only be left on his own after 18 years. But before 18 years is not good. A space needs to be opened up for them so that they can proceed to secondary school and at least maybe leave high school at the age of 18 or leave schooling at the age of 18, because at that time they can now fend for themselves.
All right, let's bring it to Jonathan Wasaya, who's with us in studio. You have been here for a long time, and we appreciate you staying on KTN News to give us your sentiments and thoughts in as far as the release of these exams are concerned. So I'd like to hear what you're thinking as far as the way forward, is concerned with the CS and the sector, with all of these other factors that still need to be put in place to streamline education in Kenya.
Yeah, I think for me, as we draw towards a close, it's the first time in the history of this country that head teachers are being recognized for the role they play in managing examinations. They have always been pushed to the periphery, and people celebrate the results without looking at who made them happen. So it's a good thing that the CS had a special place in his remarks for the head teachers. Number two is that Dr. Matiang'i, for the first time, indicated that he is going to be releasing an examination report and not a speech for analysis, and he encouraged people to mine the data in the report and give it interpretation. So I know there's going to be a lot of work looking into it to see what does it mean for the education sector going forward. But then he also mentioned that by the 9th of December, they will be concluding selection for national schools. And that tells you that is 1 week from today. So he said he's put in place a system that will facilitate this to move on effectively. But then also, we need to mention that for the first time, we have a 0.002 percentage for malpractices, which is a good thing that we have under 1% of cases reported. But then he's saying that of the 21 incidents that occurred, they were literally attempts to cheat. And the mobile phones were confiscated from the learners before they got into the examination center. This is the first step in restoring integrity in our education system and our national examinations. And we want to wish the very best to every household and every learner who's out there still waiting to get their results from this, but already congratulating those who've already received their results.
Thank you so much. Jonathan Wasaya, education expert, also who Crispus Wawire, an education expert as well, was joining us from our City Center studio. We thank you for your time on News Desk this first day of December, receiving, of course, the results for the Kenya Certificate of Primary Education examination. And remember, you can send in a message to 22252 to be able to get your results. If you have an index number for a loved one, that's all you need to do. Send that index number to 22252 and you will get your examination results. And I will join Jonathan to congratulate all that are celebrating their results and perhaps pull their socks for those who will not do very well. There's always a next time to work harder. Let's move on to this year's KCPE exams. Will be the hallmark of an exam that may have the fewest cases of exam cheating in history, and now we know 21. Unexpected movements in various schools proved to be the answer to the vice. Not only did senior education officials make impromptu visits to schools, examiners had to go through thorough searches ever witnessed. Here's Mashirima Kapombe with more details.
It was close to a ceremony every morning when the containers holding the KCPE exams this year were opened. Police officers standing guard while school heads braved the cold as the cabinet secretary and other high-ranking education officials oversaw the release of the exams almost on a daily basis.
The buck stops here. I take responsibility in the Ministry of Education. 2016 exam has not leaked and will not leak.
The pupils, too, were not spared as the integrity of the exam was of importance. Mathematical sets and other material that were deemed as means used to cheat were done away with.
You need to understand the actual effect of this nonsense over the years.
This time, several pupils sitting the exam had the opportunity to make sure they all had a fair chance. Exam marking was another area the Education Ministry was not leaving to chance. Exam marking centres were concentrated in Nairobi, while the whole process took off almost immediately the pupils put down their pens after the final paper.
I would like to see those 300 A's this year, where they will be from. Let's be honest, one with another. We are destroying our children.
Number one. Education CS Fred Matiang'i has sworn there will be no cases of cheating this year, but the final report will be the proof as to whether his measures have yielded the results he worked so hard for. Mashirima Kapombe, KTN News.
Let's have a look at another story that's making news today. And the IEBC selection panel began the vetting process of getting new commissioners today. 4 of the 36 candidates shortlisted for the post of IEBC commissioner will be interviewed. Vincent Kimutai Kimosop was the first one to face the Bernadette Musundi-led panel, first ahead of Professor Johnson Masai, Professor Kizito Okola Nyangesa, and Ismail Buro Hassan. The interviews are expected to be completed in 2 weeks.
What are your views on the recommendations they made? I think if you read, this is I did a summary of the recommendations.
Yes.
There are some things that are progressive, particularly in giving ground, for example, on the transmission of the results, particularly for the presidency. But there are also certain provisions that I believe we may agree currently, but at some point we will need to have conversation, particularly in meeting some of those timelines on the amendments provided. When I read the provisions of the law, I see directions whereby one of the questions that I would ask, how do we balance between providing legislative clarity and the independence of the commission? So I think for now, politically, it may be expedient for the purposes of preparing for the next election, but I think there will come a time where even maybe as commissioners, we will have to have that conversation so that we don't have overly prescribing everything for the commission in legislation. I think some things can be left to, we need to allow room for innovativeness. For example, when we say 6 months to the elections, we have to make certain procurements. What happens when we have the law that guides the procurement if we are not able to meet those guidelines? So there is room for dialogue, but for the moment it is good it has been able to move the country forward.
Machakos Governor Alfred Mutua this morning appeared before the Senate Public Accounts and Investment Committee for the third time this week. Mutua was taken to task by the senators led by Machakos Senator Johnston Muthama on why he decided to bring fresh allegations against third parties instead of answering to audit queries. Mutua linked Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka to grabbed land in Mavoko constituency.
The governor has managed, Chair, to divert the terms of reference of this committee into dealing with someone who cannot come and defend himself in this committee where you are seated. So, Chair, to have names here, and I want to see page 1, where you have names, and if you continue, see Katan, Mitamboni Katan Company Limited. Chair, there is no address of this company, and there is no directors of this company. What will stop you from just fabricating report and bringing and saying, this is Botron Trading Company, store 10,000 shillings. This is Covered Blue Trading Company, store 20,000 shillings. You don't give the address. This is a fabricated report, Chair, and it should not be admitted by this committee, whether it is being looked at thereafter or not. And that's my point of origin.
Engineer Senator Karwe, introduce yourself.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Engineer Uriuk Karoe, the Senator of Nyandaro County.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you allow me, there are several issues here that we really need to interrogate, not just for the sake of this committee, but for the sake of our country. The first one is there is a list that we presented here to reply to the audit query, and we're giving you the list to match the two, to show you the 18 plots that are being talked about. And Mr. Chair, you asked for those documents.
Yeah.
And once they get here, we'll be able to take you through them.
So you are saying the list, the documents?
The documents are presented, signed by Mukali Mbole, are the same ones, the plots that were flagged by the auditors. They are the same ones in the audit where it says that 18 pieces of land of various sizes as public utilities and numerical have been subdivided and allocated to individuals. So I want to show you our lane of action, which is my good friend Senator Walalo was asking, what did we do about it? We took those lists and we wrote to the National Land Commission for those titles to be revoked in reply to this audit query.
All right, thank you so much for staying with us here on News Desk on this first day of December. It is Thursday, and we have been getting those updates a little bit earlier from the Education Cabinet Secretary, Fred Matiang'i. The results are officially out. If you still haven't found out what you or your loved ones got, if you have their index number, you can send that into 22252 to be able to get the results. And of course, we'll continue with our coverage throughout the day of the same. My name is Sophia Wanuna, our sign language interpreter.